As a first timer diving into Spanky's quest, I had one big question. Why is this monkey named Spanky, and does he know what he's in for? But to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was in for. Look, I don't think 5 years ago I would have guessed I'd be playing a 1991 game about a monkey named Spanky and uploading it to YouTube, but here we are. Spanky's Quest is an early Super Nintendo title from Natsume, and you can tell it's an early title because as bright and colorful as it is, I feel like the graphics didn't do it justice to what it could have been. The entire premise is to collect keys to open up a locked door at the end of each stage so you can advance to the next room. However, there are little fruit hoarding the keys. Why are the enemies fruit, and why do they look so smug? I don't really get it. There's some sort of story at the beginning of the game that's pretty vague, but I do know that there is a witch involved. You grab these keys from these little fruit devils by hitting them with a ball that you've been bouncing on your head above you. They'll never see it coming. You toss a bubble up in a short arc and try to tag those fruit, but that's only going to stun them. How you actually do damage is bouncing that bubble on your head, then popping it, which will turn it into some kind of sports ball. 1 bounce before popping for a baseball, 2 for a row of soccer balls, 3 for a bomb-like volleyball, and 4 for a wave of basketballs, which is by far the best attack as it acts as a mini screen wipe. All of these attacks should be used strategically. Obviously you want the basketballs, but sometimes you're in a jam and you have the fruit lined up perfectly in the arc and you'll just have to settle for a weaker projectile to get you by. The controls in this game are simple as the game looks. You use 1 button to jump, 1 button to attack. The reason I'm not saying which button is because it's totally your preference since you can change it in the options at the menu screen. Me personally, I like to use B to jump and Y to attack. But bouncing a ball on your head while you have malicious fruit chasing you, fireballs coming out of the walls while you're getting shot out of a cannon is actually a lot harder than you think. So don't let this kitty look of a game fool you. It's difficult. Like, this game is hard. Like, there would be levels where you'd have to jump off a platform without being able to see anything under you. And you'd usually land on a fruit, and until you learn that pattern and spawn points, I have no idea how you'd pass it. And the same thing goes for the boss levels. Yes, they are easy once you learn the patterns, but how are you supposed to not let them hit you that first time when you face them without knowing the patterns? So then you lose a life, and if that's all your lives, it's game over. And yes, there is a password system, but there are 10 stages before each boss when you get your password, and most times I'd have to start over and play all the same 10 bubble popping stages again with the same patterns just to get back to where I was, and if I sound passionate about it, that's because I am. You get a few lives that you'll have to keep up with at the top of your screen, but you want to save them bad boys because in the later stages, there is so much chaos going on, and it gets pretty hairy trying to bounce that bubble through all of that. You probably didn't think of the word strategy when you clicked on this video, but you're going to need it. But I'm not good at this game, so best I can tell you is to get the high ground. That, and use the volleyball bomb on the bosses since they do more damage. Now most of this game is dunking and dodging, but there are some extra features like hidden doors that lead to bonus rooms. Here you can play a mini game and score an extra life. But hey, Spanky doesn't just pop bubbles and run from fruit, he does it in style. You can get these special hats that give him boosts like an extra bubble power or the ability to take an extra hit. I just wish the graphics would have been a little bit better. I really wanted those fruit baddies to stand out. As far as the soundtrack, it's upbeat and funky, and that adds to the oddly satisfying fever dream I feel like I'm in. I feel like one of my favorite moments in this game are just the reactions from Spanky during the game, like when you pop a bubble right over his head and his tiny little face turns to despair. Overall, Spanky's Quest is bananas. Yeah, I said it. It's weird, but it's a surprisingly good puzzle platformer. I could play this game if I wanted a challenge or just something different. The only thing is the difficulty with the passwords at the beginning of each 10 stages, and that got old pretty quick. I think the recommendation is going to be more based on preference. So would a mediocre gamer like Spanky's Quest? I guess.